Our political correspondent Gareth Gordon reports on the dilemmas facing disaffected Ulster Unionists.
In 1985, opposition to the Anglo-Irish Agreement saw Unionist leaders for once unite. It didn't last. More than a quarter of a century later, the flag dispute appears to have brought them together again, only now the DUP is the biggest party. Many believe it's the shape of things to come. But what about those Ulster Unionists who don't want closer links with the DUP? Basil McRae's name has already been mentioned in connection with the Alliance Party, John McAllister's with the Northern Ireland Conservatives. But is there another way? Is it time to talk about forming a more liberal Unionist party? At least one former Ulster Unionist MLA believes it is. David McClarty left the party after being deselected as an Assembly candidate.
I want to see Northern Ireland prosper, and if being part of a new party can achieve that, then yes, I would have to consider that. It certainly would be a very moderate Unionist party, an inclusive Unionist party, where all opinions are acceptable. It is not purely unionism with a religious bias. Everybody, those particularly who are unionists, even with a small u, would be welcome, irrespective of their class or creed, or whether they have a creed at all.
But what about the man who was stripped of the deputy leadership for accusing the party of sleepwalking towards Unionist unity? John McAllister chooses his words very carefully.
The pieces are in flux. You've said that's your quote, Gareth, not mine.
You're not denying it.
That's your quote. The pieces, politics in a very fluid state at the moment, so there's we have no idea what way things are going to look in the next few months.
In 1974, Brian Faulkner formed the Unionist Party of Northern Ireland.
As bad as it looks, I'm afraid so.
Following splits in the Ulster Unionists over Sunningdale.
There's another picture here with Brian Faulkner and my father in the late 50s.
This former Ulster Unionist junior minister is one of the few survivors of that failed attempt at Unionist realignment. He believes his party is once more facing dangerous times.
But what we need in Northern Ireland is two clear Unionist perspectives, so as Unionism does have a choice. And over the next literally coming days, either Mike Nesbitt and Basil McRae can find genuinely a way to work together for the good of the party and, more importantly, for the good of Northern Ireland. Then they would be better to go their separate ways.
And what would that mean?
Well, that would mean, because it seems a slow death, either Basil McRae and Mike Nesbitt find a way of working collectively together, and Mike Nesbitt delivering something that is clearly seen as different to the DUP, so as a choice is offered to the people of Northern Ireland, then Basil should go his own way and perhaps have his own realignment. But I do add, I've learnt from the time in UPNI, to try and change by forming a separate party doesn't always work, because people don't always follow.
The Ulster Unionists' former Director of Communications believes Unionist realignment has already begun.
My own gut instinct, having observed this for over 30 years, is that there is now no longer a need for a separate Ulster Unionist Party and DUP. I think they will come together. They won't call it a Unionist unity maybe, but it's going to be a merger of some sort. There will be electoral pacts, there will be arrangement. That leaves a very large section of secular, pluralist, moderate, small unionism who don't want a vehicle. They have never voted, they don't want the United Unionist vehicle. They've already stopped voting for the UUP and DUP. But I do a lot of civic unionist meetings, I do a lot of broad meetings across Northern Ireland. I don't sense that people are disinterested in politics. I sense they're disengaging from the Assembly, but they do want something else.
But this senior Ulster Unionist says the party is still relevant and plays down the notion that it's lurching closer to the DUP.
Well, I've been in unionist politics a long time, and I've seen people come and go, and I've seen parties come and go. But I do firmly believe that mainstream unionist opinion is still very much concentrated on how the Ulster Unionist represents that opinion in a moderate, responsible way that offers leadership which is different to other parties, but nevertheless important as Northern Ireland moves into the future.
One thing unionism has not lacked in the past has been new parties. They have come and mostly gone, many without making much of a discernible impact. So does it really need a new one now? Arlene Foster, who performed her own realignment in 2004 by leaving the Ulster Unionist for the DUP, says not.
What I do see happening, other people are moving towards the DUP because they see a strong voice, they see a strong leader in Peter Robinson, and if people want to talk to us about moving over to the DUP, we're more than happy to talk to them.
Whatever direction these men take next, it's unlikely to lead to the DUP.